suffrage began in the mid-19th century. The movement has lasted many decades. What is suffrage, you may ask? Suffrage is the right to vote in political elections.
Lucretta Mott was born on January 3, 1793 in Massachusetts. She was considered the primary founder of women's suffrage in America. She was an early supporter of the Anti-Slavery Society and an early feminist activist. She called a convention at Seneca Falls where she discussed social, civil, and religious rights for women.
Susan B. Anthony was born on February 15, 1820, in Adams, Massachusetts. She was an advocate for both civil and voting rights, and she was also one of the leaders of the women's suffrage movement. In 1851, Susan B. Anthony met Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and the two quickly began collaborations on speeches, articles, and books. Their partnership dominated the women's movement for over half a century. Anthony and Stanton co-founded the American Equal Rights Association and worked together for over 50 years. You're probably wondering who Elizabeth Cady Stanton is. Well, she was the first woman to stand up for women's rights. She was also an author, a lecturer, and a chief philosopher of women's rights and the suffrage movements. In 1840, she married an abolitionist who inspired her to become active in anti-slavery. While on her honeymoon in London, she attended the World's Anti-Slavery Convention. Stanton met abolitionist Lucretta Mott there. Mott and Stanton became fast friends. They bonded over their shared anger for women's proceedings. 8 years later, in 1848, Stanton and Mott held the first women's rights convention at Seneca Falls, New York.
The Seneca Falls Convention was the first women's rights convention in the United States. It was held in New York on July 19th through 20th in 1848. This meeting launched the women's suffrage movement, which would enable women's voting rights about 7 decades later.